All right. Hello, everyone. My name is LV, and I'm going to be your host as we take this journey. It's a journey leaving the plantation of the mind. I wrote a book just recently, and this book came from a troubling reality that I've sensed, that I've known, and I've been silent. But just to be silent no more, to not sit back as I see a generation walking off of a cliff as it is. Just the death cult of a plantation mind, a mind that this generation of young black people seem to have inherited. And I put a lot of the weight of the problems on my generation, because my generation, I'm over 50, I'm 52, but my generation is a generation that did not tell the story, did not communicate the truth of the past, the lives that have gone and the stories that have been placed in history. We did not tell the story well to the next generation concerning who we are, identity, the value of those that have come before you, the strength of a people that came before you. And if you don't have that connection to your ancestors and to the truth of your ancestors, it seems like social media and this recent current history or culture, black culture as it is today, thug culture, a culture of grievance culture, a culture of undervaluing the image and the greatness of God in you as humans. And so just wanting to come on and have some conversation and stir up a real conversation. And listen, I'm a father. I've been married to my wife for 26 years. This year, 27 is coming up. I'm a parent. We have 4 black children. As far as 2 sons and 2 daughters. And so highly invested in the black community. I live in my city. The South Side was historically the black side, and it was the side that you'd find a greater concentration of blacks. I live there. And I'm watching and I'm looking at what's happening in my community there and trying to serve my community. I was a foster parent, me and my wife. We done that for over 10 years early on in our marriage. And even before we were married, I was a foster parent and trying to be a blessing and be a light and encourage a generation to understand who we really are as a people and to keep the story that was given to me. Now, I understand not all people, not all black people, we're not a monolith. We don't come from all the same story. We're very diverse. We are the diaspora of people. All people are. But when it comes in specific or in particular to the black community, we're not all the same. And I get that. And I once did not get that, because I would listen to people and they would tell me their stories of injustice or racism and the issues that they face. And I would honestly not believe them. I wouldn't believe it because I wasn't raised in the inner city, for sure. I was not raised to see life through the lens of the difficulties or the hurdles that's before people. I'm 52, so therefore I lived in a generation where racism was not blatant. People wasn't being hung from trees, and we wasn't being redlined as it is, and all of the different things that happened in Jim Crow era and slave era. That wasn't my generation, but we went through things and we saw injustices and issues where blacks were not pushed to the front as it is. But the opportunity to be, the opportunity to live, we had that. And so I look at my father's generation. He died back in 2017 at the age of 75. And I saw a generation that went through far greater problems and issues and challenges. And yet they live with such character and integrity, strength of spirit, strength of identity. They were a people that when you look at black culture, some people say black people don't have culture and we're cultureless, but that's not true. This generation has a culture itself, but I want to go back to a culture or to a day where black culture was so strong. Black people were so strong that, at least that's, like I said, we're not all the same, but where I come from, I saw men and women live with such integrity, with such strength of spirit that they inspired me to believe that God could do great things in and through my life. But the culture that I saw was, first of all, strong faith in God through his son, Jesus. Black people were people who believed heavily in the Lord Jesus Christ. I saw that lived out. I saw that in truth. And it wasn't the day of what we see now in the prosperity gospel or this era where people are victimizing people in the name of God, getting over on people in the name of God. Now, I'm not saying that did not exist back in their day, but what prevailed was a culture of respect for preachers and for Christians because they lived in a respectful and in an honest way. That's what I saw as a child growing up. Christians and Christianity being something that affected the behavior of black people, and they lived strong. Also, strong family units. Family was a big thing. It's not just a mother, father, brother, sister family, but aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, a sense of family that meant something, a sense of family that unified behavior and ideas and conduct. So it was very strong. Family values and family units were intact. I saw that in my own personal family, but in the culture as well. And that was a thing. But also hard work. Black people were a people, my father's generation, man, I would see them doing things and working in a way that, that just don't make sense. Like, there's easier ways to do what you're doing. There's a better way to make a dollar than that hard labor that it seems like you just embrace hard labor for not big payoff, but just the sweat and the hard work ethic. They just believed in it. And many people would say it's because they had to, and they would say it's because of injustice and all kinds of things. But never once did I hear that generation speak out of that spirit. They spoke from a place of integrity, a place of strength, a place of moral superiority, even as it is to other people, because of the way they handled the stress of hatred and dislike and disadvantage. They did not allow that to become a blanket of excuses of why not compete. It gave them just the fortitude, even as a hurdler would jump over hurdles in a race. They jumped over issues as if those issues were there, but they did not let it stop them from becoming all that God would have them to be. And so this young generation, my heart goes out to a younger generation that's been fed lies, that's been handicapped with a vision of not only themselves, but with those that have come before them of injustice and grievance. And I want to be a part of reconnecting this younger generation to the truth. The truth is your history, your lineage, your ancestors did not live with a victim's mind. They did not live out of this grievance mindset. And they had all reasons to live that way, to see that way, to look at life through the lens of why try? All I'm going to do is be kicked down or pushed to the back and all of that. But they did not see life or see themselves through that lens. If you're a black person in America, you need to know that a great part of your lineage and the people you come from were some of the most integral, some of the most upstanding and righteous and godly and God-fearing people that lived on this planet. It was your people were the people that the judgment of God did not come on this nation because of a lot of righteous black people who endured injustice with such an integrity, with such a heart of grace that you'd say, man, I don't even understand how they could do it. How they didn't just lose it and turn negative and just wild out. They didn't. They kept pushing. They kept believing. They kept building. They kept growing. And to this young generation, I really want to challenge you with the voices that you've heard, with the people that have told you a bunch of negative things about society and life. You see, life has a tendency to give you back what you see. And if you look through the lenses of grievance, of injustice, of why I can't, you're going to see a lot of reasons of why you can't. But if you just take off those glasses, the plantation of your mind, and begin to see the opportunities and the open doors and the open heaven that's before you, I'm telling you, those same realities will manifest into your life. And so I believe this young generation has been poisoned by politicians, by community activists, by race hustlers, victim-minded hustlers who feed off of giving you a narrative of problems. The victim mind. Why you can't. While at the same time they're prospering. At the same time they're nationally syndicated. At the same time they're making millions by being sponsored and endorsed by so many other groups around them. And their children are doing just fine. They've moved out of the hood, and yet they talk about the pain and the grievance of people who live there. And they use the pain of others as currency for what they're doing with their lives. They're prospering, but they tell you, you can't. It's too hard. It's too much. The man will keep you back and kick you down every time. And they got all of the reasons for the victim mind. But yet they're prospering if you look at them in their real lives and where they really live and check their bank accounts. They're hustling the pain of poor people and people that have been put in positions that are not good. But they're not giving the true answers of how to get out, how to get up, how to move beyond your circumstances. And so in my book, The Plantation of the Mind, I want to impact and unpack. I want to unpack keys that brought myself from this plantation mind. I was once a person who listened to the Farrakhan's, who listened to the Al Sharptons and all of these other voices that told me I can't, and the world's against me, and racism is the biggest problem in all of those things. I was once that listened to those things until God began to take me on a journey of leading me out of that plantation mind into the freedom of where I stand today and to the freedom of where my ancestors stood in far harsher times. So young people, I really want to have a conversation with you. I really want to engage you, and I don't want to be a channel where we just come and put each other down and talk bad to one another and me assume you've got bad motives for everything you say and everything you do. And I pray vice versa, that I'm not here to beat you up or to beat you down, but I'm here to challenge a thought or a mindset, and to try and show you another way, a way that I found for myself and that I'm living out in real time. And so I just want that to be what we do. And I'm excited about this new beginning in this channel. And what we're here to try to accomplish is to be a blessing and a help to this next generation, that you don't have to spend years of time wasting in a negative mindset, that you can go forth and prosper today. You can go and accomplish all that God has for you and for your family. You are a child of God. You've been created with the imago Dei, the very image of your creator God. And believe me, what God has for you, no man can take from you. No system can stop you. God has empowered you to win, friend. I'm a witness, and I am an example of that truth. When I changed my mind and I started believing that the God that I serve is greater than any force that'll be against me, I win. And I've been winning ever since. I want to tell you that story, and I want to encourage you along the way. Let's talk about it, friend, on